obsessive cousin keeps trying to copy me, so I lied about being pregnant. When I was younger, I used to do everything with my cousin. We styled our hair the same, liked the same singers, and tried to match outfits with each other. We were always known as being very close in the family. However, as we grew up, she always tried to outdo me and say how much better she was than me, which I did find odd. I ended up always letting it slide because my mom would always say that we were better off than she was, and I really just wanted to hang out with her. But at the end of the day, it was never enough. Last year, my fiancé proposed to me, and I was overjoyed and told my family. I also told my cousin and her boyfriend when they came over for Thanksgiving, and she seemed kind of upset. It seemed like she was bothered that I even told her, but she left before I could ask her about it. I dismissed it, thinking she was having a rough day. However, 3 weeks later, I discovered my cousin was engaged and trying to plan it as soon as possible. I thought it was just a coincidence that we both got engaged around the same time, and I was really happy for her. Eventually, she gave up trying to rush her wedding, and I didn't hear from her for a while. Recently, my mom told me the day she wanted to get married. Her date was the exact same day my fiancé and I decided on. I was upset at this point and asked her about why she was acting strange about the wedding and choosing the same date as me. She only replied by saying it was just a coincidence, and that I should stop being jealous that I didn't have what she had. After hearing that, I was surprised and offended. Did you really think I was jealous? I tried to tell my family about how strange and unfair it was that she got engaged and wanted to get married on the same day as me, but they all told me I was overreacting. I was so upset no one believed me that I ended up taking things into my own hands and wanted to catch her in the act. So I told my cousin I was pregnant just to see what she would do, and wouldn't you know it? 2 weeks later, she also announced she was pregnant. I tried to tell my family what had happened and how suspicious it was, but they still didn't believe me. Ultimately, I wanted to prove a point and would do anything to make sure they knew I was right. You can now check part 2 by pressing share then more. I lied about being pregnant to trick my obsessive cousin. I found out from my aunt that my cousin tried to do her wedding at a courthouse, ironic after I announced I would do the same. Her parents were mad at her because they spent over $15,000 on her wedding to change her mind. I confronted them and asked if they could see that her behavior was obsessive, but they still didn't believe me. To prove them wrong, I told my entire family and cousin about my lying about being pregnant to see her reaction. Her fiancé kept spam calling/texting about my kind of things I was buying for my baby, and I told him many things. I made an Amazon wish list with expensive baby products and unnecessary things and kept saying how much I needed these items. At first, he said that it cost a lot, and all I said back was that it was fine if she didn't get it and that I was still getting it just so that I could provoke a reaction out of him. After the phone call, he ended up buying a lot of the study on that cost him around $700. The next day, my cousin called me asking to go shopping together for the babies, and I responded by saying I couldn't go. She was confused and asked me why, and at that moment, I told her that I wasn't pregnant. I told her that I had a false positive but was happy for her since I just knew she was pregnant. From her side of the call, I could hear her breathing sharply, and in a snarky voice, she said, "Lucky you." Her fiancé called me right after, pissed off because there were things he couldn't return, and said I should have told him it was a false positive sooner. He tried to accuse me, saying that I tricked him and was being an a-hole, but then I asked how that would matter since she was pregnant, and he hung up on me. I talked to her mom, and she told me that my cousin admitted to faking being pregnant, and now her partner is upset with her for lying. My aunt had to tell the entire family about her lie, and most of them told me that even though I was right, it was still a messed up thing to do. The only thing I responded with was, how is it fair that she gets to lie and take important things away from me, but I do one thing just to prove her obsessiveness, and I'm wrong? And that seemed to shut them up quickly. Now that this issue was resolved with everyone knowing how fake she was, my fiancé and I can now focus on what our dream wedding will be like, and no one will ever try to take that away from me again.